Yeah, so I'll start by saying that thank you to the fans because we hear them. Our writers, our producers, our showrunners hear them. That sneak peek that we introduced at Star Trek Day, I remember our showrunners, Henry in particular, came up to me and he was like, the fans have been asking for more Ortegas, and so that's what we're gonna give them. And so you got that clip from season 4. We hear the fans, and so they're really a part of this storytelling. And I am very satisfied with what we've seen in season 2, what the fans are going to see. Even though for me, like, I really do feel like Ortegas was an integral part of every episode, but I get what fans were saying, where we got so much more backstory and kind of interplay between legacy characters, and we learned a lot about La'an. But they were like, for Ortegas, they're like, we wanted so much more. But that in and of itself is such a huge compliment, because that says that what we did with so little, we made so much out of. And that speaks to the writers, that speaks to a little bit of what I did, and it speaks to the nature of our ensemble cast, that the camaraderie that we have made people feel like not only do we want to be a part of that crew, but we want to learn more about the person that we know the least about. And so we definitely took that into account. You're going to see a lot more Ortegas in season 2. We get to learn more about her as a pilot, as a soldier, and as a crew member and a friend that her crewmates trust, are loyal to, and that has a place in this Star Trek world. Sure. I was so excited to get a personal log, because that's one of those Star Trek aspects that reaches beyond a particular show, like so much of Star Trek does. And suddenly, like, as I was doing it, I suddenly could not remember one log I'd ever heard. I'm like, how do they say the numbers? Do they say dot? Do they say point? I have no, like, it's like I've never seen it or heard it before, but I had. And so it was one of those moments where, like, Anson has spoken to this before, where, like, at all times we're kind of like, we're doing Star Trek. This is crazy. And so that was very exciting. And the fact that what we were doing in that episode was Ortegas wanting to go to a planet, wanting to get off the ship, and that whole episode we get to really play with, when you love what you do and it kind of becomes monotonous, and you have to remember why it is that you love what you do and why you do it and why you're the only person who can do it the way you do it. And so we get all of that in one episode, and we get to really play with Ortegas wanting to get off the ship, but also really, her home is the ship, and she wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I would say that the personal logs were it's such a Trek classic and such a Trek staple that there's of course that anticipation of, like, I get to have my own amazing, but it's exactly as Melissa said. I remember going to the writers and being like, do we say point or do we say dot? Do we say dash? Do we say slash? Like, give me the word perfect so I don't have fans who know a lot more about this franchise than I do in my Twitter DMs telling me I messed up. Yeah, I think that those, like, little franchise-wide opportunities that we have as characters, those are the things we get so excited about, because we really get to, like, put our own stamp and specialness in something that we can say is particularly and specifically ours in a franchise that is so global and really shared with fans and audiences around the world. I can't answer your bonus question.
Okay.
But some of my favorite genre stuff we got to do was a lot more like classic comedy. I find that specifically for my character, we haven't had an opportunity to do like a lot of just like funny stuff for the sake of having a giggle. And I think that a lot of season 2, we get to see Uhura still in her place of like inquisitiveness and curiosity and sort of racking her brain on the experiences that she went through in season 1, but we also get to see her just like be a bit more comfortable and let her very, very short hair down a little bit. So yeah, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I'll say the genre play like makes it so that each episode really is like a movie, and it really feels for us like we are shooting more than one show. I think it also speaks to like why fans are saying that they can watch episodes over and over again. I mean, that's always been Star Trek, right? Like you can watch episodes over and over again, and we find something new in them each time. But specifically with what we're doing, like we like to play with, with the humor and with the fear and with the adventure and with the, things that are more cerebral. And then also marrying the two. Like we had a question earlier about, which do you think season 2 is more of? Is it more mental obstacles or physical kind of discomfort? And I'm like, what Star Trek does so well is that it marries the two as we do in life, right? Like you can't be having like a bit of a emotional issue, and then suddenly like the world around you can stop. Like you have to still go to work, you have to figure stuff out. And so I think we do a really good job of being able to see characters going through their own difficulties internally, and then at the same time having to complete the mission that is laid out before them for this particular episode.
In episode 206, there's so much that Uhura goes through and processes, and it's very intense. And so to have a moment at the end where we get to like establish some pretty essential canon, it was such a light at the end of that tunnel. It was such a something to get excited about, and shooting that was so fun because I love working with Ethan, I love working with Paul. Them two together have such a like classic like bromancy dynamic between the two of them, and so it's just fun watching them interact. Then when the cameras come on and we realize that we are now Kirk, Spock, and Uhura at like our fancy little Enterprise space bar having a talk about what we've all just experienced, it's incredible. It's Trek history. It's essential Trek history, and to have even like a part of that is so, I don't know, it feels like a secret that I can't share, but everyone knows it's coming. It's like one of those like things you get so excited about, because you know how much it means to people. It was incredible to shoot, and I don't know, working on a Trek show is always amazing, but being a part of a Trek show that has such a heavy foot in canon and what is establishing the future of this franchise, it goes without question that you feel every day how important your impact is on this franchise, not only for this specific series but for the entire timeline. So much, I mean, everything about what I do is directly because of her, especially on this show. But I didn't get to meet Nichelle, unfortunately, before she passed, and that is something that sits with me in a different place every day. Her impact on not only this franchise, but on the entertainment period does not go unnoticed, and it does not go unfelt. And I'm such a, just like background about me, I'm such a spiritualist. I'm such a person who feels energetically connected to this plane and others. And so her presence sits with me every day on set. And I don't know, not to get too audacious, but I very much feel her with me in how we tell the story of this character. And although we did not get to meet in this physical plane, I know our meeting is coming whenever the universe decides. And I'm really looking forward to that. But until then, her presence is known, and I feel her in myself, but I also feel her in the stories that people share about her with me, and in getting to meet some of her lovely family. Because Nichelle is so impactful and so lovely and generous with herself and her spirit, I have a wealth of information about her through firsthand accounts, and also just what's available on our lovely internet. And so while I did not get to meet her, I feel as though I know her as well as I could if I did.